this is how you get the gold medal, going all the way down Cumberland Charge. It's one of the harder missions to get gold because you're starting from a not so great position to have to get the engine set up properly. Alright folks, we're back with Cumberland Charge, and we'll be heading down to the Sand Patch Grade summit, and then after the summit we're going to be going all the way downhill from here, where our brake pipe's almost at 79 psi, and as soon as it hits 79 psi, it basically says we're happy and we can move forward.
This is B251, requesting a track warrant from Salisbury Junction to Cumberland. Over.
B251, await passage of an eastbound train, then subject to signal indications, proceed from Salisbury Junction to Sand Patch. Over.
B251, subject to signal indications, proceeding from Salisbury Junction as far as Sand Patch. Out.
We've already waited for that train, though both of those trains have already gone by. We don't have to worry about any of those things. All we have to do is basically set this train going forward, and we are ready to depart. And our first stop is the Sand Patch, which is actually right about here where we first started out. We're going to be stopping at the summit, so let's go ahead and release our independent brake because we're on a flat surface right now. And we're going to go ahead and throttle up number 1. And this, if we did everything right, should move our train. There we go. Our train is moving. So from the last episode and a bit with the beginning of this episode, we got the train properly set up and is moving forward at throttle 1. This is how you know your train is properly set up between all 4 trains. And it's very important in this. I'm going to go to the outside camera as I do this. It's extremely important that you don't set up this front engine until you set up that engine and the other 2 in the very back, and make sure it's all set up properly with all the hookups and everything, with the banking comm and the radio and everything, to make sure it's all set up. And I'm going to repeat this 1,000 times, with the right triggers. So for example, this trailing engine and the very last car, number 4, way in back, make sure that the gen field engine run and the control are all set to off for this one and the very last engine. The third engine back there, it's going to set those 3 with them on, plus the radio fuse on. Whereas this engine in particular, you're doing everything, except the only difference here is you're turning on the radio fuse and the banking comms itself. Let's go ahead and blow my horn here. It's about time to do that before I forget, right? Somebody's going to be like, you didn't blow your horn. So the other thing about this particular engine here is this is the one that's the only one that's going to be lead or dead. This one is going to be cut out. The 2 back there are going to be cut out. Very important to recognize that. The manual is mistaken, saying that all of these engines are whatever they are. In particular, it actually says the 3rd engine back at the other end. It's supposed to be lead or dead. That's completely incorrect. Do not listen to that. It's actually supposed to be lead or dead, cut out, cut out, cut out. Right? So that's what's important here in order to do this right. Since I'm moving at throttle 1, going up a 0.2 grade, we're going to go ahead and start speeding up to throttle 2. And then throttle 3, and we should be able to get away with throttle 4 without wheel slipping us at all. And this should get our train moving. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go camera 3 to the very back of the engine, and you can see these engines are now working. They're functioning as a whole unit. All the steam coming out of these engines, so to speak, and we're going to be heading out. If I looked inside the window here, you'll notice that the throttle is moved, so to speak. At least maybe not on this one, but it is moved on that one there. We should have the throttle moved up a little bit. There's our throttle. So you can definitely see this engine is working properly between these 2. So this one here is providing power for the brake, and that one is providing power for the engine, and is pushing me in the very front there. We're going to go back to the front engine as we cross over these tracks here at nice and slow 10 miles an hour to link up with the main line here. And at some point, we're going to be seeing some whistle stops as we go along. The hardest thing I think to do at this point, besides setting up these 4 engines correctly, is making it down the Sand Patch grade. And we're going to be using dynamic brakes pretty much all the way down as much as we can. We got our alerter going off, so we better hit that before it accidentally screws me over and sets off the PCS valve. And I don't need that happening just yet. That would be a 2-minute wait on me to do that, to reset the thing. Or I can just turn the cutout valve to cut out, and that should automatically fix it for me, so to speak. My goal is to get as close as I can to 35 miles an hour to get this train moving, because I got 5 miles of train to move, and I don't need to waste my time just sitting here. We want to get this train moving as fast as we can, as far as we can down to the Sand Patch grade, and the closer we can get there, the better off we are, especially as we go up a grade of 1.2 to 1.5%. That is really hard to do when you have a set of 54 rail cars at 7,800 tons, almost 8,000 tons. So we're on our way to get a gold medal. We have 2,800 already. Our goal is to get about 4,000 by the time we get back to the sand patch, and then another 4,000 by the time we get to, what is the next stop there? Viaduct Junction, and then our last 2,000 by the time we get to Cumberland Terminal, if we can. I've just earned a nice little credit of driving 100 miles. Oh my god, the alerter. Gosh, that thing scares me. I keep forgetting I have an alerter. And you guys probably won't care about this part because this is probably the easiest part for you guys to do, because the average person pretty much gets through this part right here without too much of a problem. But it's really going over the sand patch once that grade starts climbing a bit more. We're going to go up to number 6, and we might get away with number 7 at this point to kind of give us some more speed. 1.1% grade. Now we're going to have to see how this is going to go for us going over the next 4 miles here. Cross our fingers, right? And you can already see we are definitely slowing down according to our feet per minute up ahead here. So we want to try to see what we can do to maintain speed in this area. 22 miles an hour. We're hoping for the best here. And actually what's happening now is the pitch here is at 0.08 now. All we have to do is get a bunch of the cars to go over, and we should be in a good shape to start speeding up any minute now. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping to get that little extra boost to get us moving and over. I know I passed a whistle stop sign, didn't I? Where is it? I know I passed it. I saw it. I swear I saw it. Well, whatever. We're going to wait on it. 1920. There it goes. It's going the other direction now. This is good news. We're now at minus 1.2, and there's our switch right there. We're going to be now moving where it's going to be going. There it goes. Now we're going to be going faster. So this is going to be good news. We are in great shape getting over that little hillside back there. If we hit number 3, you can see where we are in number 3 here. We just passed the edge of that, so our train is in excellent position here. Oh my god, the alerter. I don't need that shutting my train down now. That'd be terrible to shut my train down this early. 3.2 miles away from our stop, unfortunately for me. And about 8,000 feet for the green single. It should be green all the way down, partly because the train up ahead, we took so long to set up the engines in the back, because we took literally the mile-long walk all the way back there to do it, that train's probably near Cumberland by now, if I pay attention. This is probably not the best place to look because there's a lot of single crossings over here, and I want to make sure I blow the horn for every one of these. And let's see if we can try to figure out where that other train is. There he is. He's all the way over here. We have another train coming up the pathway, so that's probably why we have to stop, because we have to wait for this guy. Meanwhile, the other guy is about here, so as long as we're equidistant apart, we should be in good shape. Yeah, so what I'm probably going to do is, play some music in the background, because this is a long 1-hour journey all the way down to the bottom, but this is how you get the gold medal, going all the way down Cumberland Charge. It's one of the harder missions to get gold, because you're starting from a not so great position to have to get engines set up properly. Anytime you have to have 4 engines separated by rail cars, there's a completely different way to set it up. I've got it on the screen over here, and I actually double checked this. I went back and forth between a couple screens just to make sure that my engines were actually working okay, and I even double checked the engines. It's actually more important that you double check the engine 2 or 3 times if you have to, just to make sure that this train trip happens the way it is supposed to happen. What we want to do when we go downhill, in particular with Cumberland Charge or anything that involves sand patch grade going back to Cumberland Station, is to make sure we don't accidentally run out of brakes, because if we do, we get screwed over and our warning lights start turning on, especially that one there, and we don't want to get any wheel slip either. So there's a couple issues we've got that's coming up in this scenario that we do have to pay attention to. We're going to see if we have a yellow light after that green. I bet you there's going to be a yellow light in relation to the stop. If I just go for the map, the green is right up there. The next one should be this one here. Yes, it is definitely yellow on top of the red that is on the siding there. So, but it wants us to stop at the yellow light, which I don't quite understand. Hopefully we can just kind of roll through. That's what I would like to do, so I don't have to stop this train completely. But if I have to stop the train, whatever, I have to stop the train. We now have a 1% grade. That sucks. That's going to slow me down a little bit according to this here. The train cars are going to push me a little bit, which is good news. I want to try to get those train cars pushing me as much as I can, because that's going to help me get moving. I probably may drop down the 20 to 20 miles an hour to get over the rest of the sand patch. And if I can maintain those speeds, I will be thrilled enough to work off of those speeds as much as I can. Where's my other light? I know there's another light up ahead. Well, I guess we're not going to work with it. There's another whistle stop. I like calling these whistle stops. Don't blame me for this. I'm sure it's just a board with a W on it. You know what I mean? It just bugs me that they don't use the other version of it with the little X's on it. Maybe in this state they do. In the state I am in, they don't do that. Okay, they did their research. Good job. I didn't. Right. I do want to have at least a mile of stopping, which is right about now, but I don't want to slow this train down at all. I'm going to wait till about 5,000 feet, and then I'm going to try to slow this train down, because if I try to slow it down too early, I'm going to get this train stuck. And that's the worst thing I could do right now, to get this train stuck. And I do have to pay attention so I don't get any wheel slip in this process either. So the last bit of this 8,000 feet is literally the climb all the way to the summit. And we want to make sure the summit climb is as fast as possible. And with this 1.4% grade, it's not going to be fun, because this thing is going to be bouncing around a bit. And it's essentially minus 5 feet per second, or per minute, so to speak. But we're doing pretty good. You got to give me credit here that the engine's set up properly and the train's rolling along with our nearly 8,000 tons of cargo. So we're definitely doing good. And the alerter. Once this thing starts to split up a little bit, the track, and we start to see more of the track available to us, we know for sure that we're coming up on the summit itself. Because the next 4,000 up ahead is going to essentially be primarily most of the summit. So things should start to level off here, and what we want to pay attention to is this guy right here, and make sure that helps us level off. There's our split of our track, and that's going to tell us that we are finally reaching the summit, and we are finally leveling off. This is going to be excellent news, but the back end of this train is still pretty far off from doing so. So we're going to try to keep the throttle at number 7 for now. As we get a little bit closer to 3,000, we're going to drop it down another notch. We don't want to get stuck here. This is the worst place to get stuck. Even though this is the summit, it's still got a pretty heavy grade right here. So that would be really bad for me to stop in this area. All right, I think we can go to notch 6. And it's going to start to slow us down a little bit. We want to try to get to about 15 miles an hour. 15 miles an hour is actually an excellent place to be, especially when you got 3,000 feet left ahead of you. And the back end of my train is still pretty far out from anything, really. It's actually just going to be crossing over that one crossing. So we're just going to make sure our train can do our thing as slow and evenly as possible without going too fast, because we do need to make sure we stop at about 3,000 feet. Our back end here just entered the summit, so it's going to be hitting that 1.2% grade. We're at a pretty good position to start to slow down our train a little bit more. We're going to go down to notch 5. We want to try to be at least 10 miles an hour at this point. And I'm sorry, this is just going to make the video a little bit longer, but it's worth being 10 miles an hour going through the last 1,900 feet here. And you can see we have a green light, which is dumb. I don't know why it's telling me to stop here, but it wants me to stop here, but that's fine. If I could do a rolling stop, that would help me a lot more. We're going to go ahead and get this train down to 5 miles. Oh, there we go. That's probably the train we're waiting for. That's probably why I had to stop, honestly. Believe it or not, 26 minutes into the video, and we're about the right place where we want to stop. This is amazing. We made it to the top of the sand patch. All right, we're going to just throttle off, and we're going to put our independent brake on to make sure this train stops. And then we're going to go ahead and do the brakes.
This is B251 requesting a track warrant from Sand Patch to Cumberland. Over.
B251, subject to signal indications, proceed from Sand Patch to Cumberland. Over.
B251, subject to signal indications, proceeding from Sand Patch to Cumberland. Out.
All right, folks, so I'm actually going to stop the video here on purpose. That way I can make this at least 27 minutes of just getting from literally one stop to the next, because it's otherwise going to be a 2-hour video here. So our next stop is going to be Viaduct Junction. I'll come back to that in part 3 of Cumberland Charge. In the meantime, like, subscribe, leave me comments, and we will definitely see you in the next one. This is honestly probably one of the hardest things to do, to get your train to stop here in Cumberland. Our entire train stopped here. The only problem with this, this half here is on a 1.2% uphill, while that half is on a 1.2 downhill. So we got some challenges to work out here. Actually, this is actually still uphill. I rolled backwards a little bit. You did see that. So yeah, like, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one. Okay, I gotta slow down. I'm going way too fast right now. It's not good. I'm driving backwards, which is even worse. Okay, and I got the zoom on. That's even worse. Come on. Come on, me. Let's do this. 45%. You know we can do this. Oh, it's trying to do the overspeed. 66%. Driving over the speed limit again. 2 over the speed limit so far.